The supervillain Atomic Skull debuted for DC Comics in Superman 323 from May of 1978. There have been two different versions of the character that have surfaced throughout the years, taking on the likes of Superman, Batman, The Flash, Steel, and Superwoman, but both versions share very similar abilities. Their heads are skulls, glowing from intense radiation. Their bodies constantly emit dangerous levels of radiation and consume other forms of it. They can discharge atomic blasts from their eyes, mouth, and even hands. The original incarnation of the Atomic Skull was a Star Labs scientist named Albert Michaels. He had a rare medical condition where the electrical impulses in his brain would short-circuit, making him prone to life-threatening seizures. With each one of them he suffered, shortening his lifespan. What a bummer. You kinda feel bad for him. Michaels would be approached by the terrorist organization named Skull that flew around in a skull-shaped saucer, even coming out of this skull-shaped hangar when it took off, which looked kind of silly, let's be honest. In return for working for them, Skull's medical experts would implant Michael's brain with a radium-powered device to control his seizures and harness the energy from them to create powerful atomic blasts. Shortly after the operation, however, the device in his brain would begin to malfunction, and his seizures returned, worse than ever. Michaels would go after Superman for imprisoning the Skull scientists that could have helped cure him and fix the radium device. Michaels would don a yellow and green costume with a skull helmet and visor, using the radiation his body could emit to harm Superman. Atomic Skull would launch a rocket filled with kryptonite that was set to explode and surround the Earth with kryptonite dust, eliminating the Man of Steel's powers so long as he remained on the planet. Superman would destroy it, though, with another rocket that had a lead-covered tip. When the two rockets collided, the kryptonite and lead canceled each other out, somehow. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's what the writers were going with. Atomic Skull would be incarcerated in the Mount Olympus Correctional Facility. This thing was odd, but kinda cool at the same time. A super prison that floated 20,000 feet in the air and would hold the supervillains there in special cells that used their own powers against them. Among the pages of The Flash 293, the Atomic Skull would escape and battle the fastest man alive, as well as Firestorm the Nuclear Man. Atomic Skull was trying to obtain more radium to increase the strength of his brain blasts, which is what he started calling them, in case he ever had to fight Superman again. Weren't brain blasts moments of brilliance Jimmy Neutron had whenever he had a good idea? Whatever. Atomic Skull had a love interest, briefly, named Felicia. She was a female panther he temporarily mutated into a human being, using a special evolution ray. They would cross paths with Superman and Man-Bat at Star Labs when they went after research regarding human-animal hybrids, something Kirk Langstrom had been after as well. In the New 52 continuity, the origin of Albert Michaels was tweaked a little bit. He was still a Star Labs scientist, but all of the stuff regarding his previous medical condition were eliminated. He instead was trapped inside a flooding submarine and was caught in an explosion of experimental radiation. His body would drift to a nearby island, and he would experience fragmented memories surrounding a woman, a former lover of his. Michaels survives on the island by eating its vegetation and would be attacked by a leopard. It's here where he discovers that he can emit blasts of radioactive energy out of his mouth. He would use this power to kill and consume various other animals on the island and create a cave shelter for himself. But frequent use of his newfound ability weakens the flesh on his skull, to the point in which it just falls off. The radiation levels of his body would keep increasing, and the entire island would be destroyed. Michaels would be given a more bulkier armored look moving forward into the Rebirth continuity. In one story, he would be pursued by a group of soldiers. Batman would get involved in the chase, and Atomic Skull would tell the Caped Crusader that someone did something to his mind. Batman would also learn that the soldiers sent after Atomic Skull were deceased bodies, turned into mind-controlled drones. Before anything more can be learned about the Atomic Skull's situation, his body detonates like a bomb within Gotham, killing him and countless others. Superman and Batman team up to find out who is responsible, leading them to the Ultra-Humanite, who has been building what he refers to as an atomic army. The villain would capture Batman and turn him into an atomic bomb as well. He was essentially an amalgamation of Atomic Skull and Batman, whose actions were being manipulated by the Ultra-Humanite. Superman would seemingly kill Batman before Ultra-Humanite is able to detonate the bomb inside his body, but it's revealed that Superman had only used his heat vision to make a small incision to destroy the detonator in Batman's chest, a detonator the world's finest had learned of by performing an autopsy on Atomic Skull's remains. And speaking of Atomic Skull's remains, Albert Michaels had the ability to resurrect himself using his powers, something the second version of the character was unable to do. The second Atomic Skull was a man named Joseph Martin, a college student in Metropolis that was caught in an explosion at Star Labs when an energy bomb went off. He would be driven insane by the radiation emanating from his body, taking the name of Atomic Skull from a character he used to watch in old movie serials as a kid. Martin would act like a superhero and believed Superman to be the movie serial's villain, Dr. Electron. It was around the time Superman had developed those electricity powers, which made him fit the bill even more. Honestly, I don't have much else to say about the Joseph Martin Atomic Skull. I've always preferred the original Albert Michaels version, but I do like the radioactive symbols Martin had on his suit's shoulder plates. They looked really cool. Atomic Skull shares many similarities with the villain Blight, introduced much later in the animated series Batman Beyond in the late 1990s. The idea of a medical condition, the growing radiation coming from his body, being driven insane by it in some instances, it's all very familiar. Of course, another influence for Blight was the Batman villain Dr. Phosphorus, who had a glowing skeletal appearance too, the result of irradiated sand coming into contact with him during a nuclear plant meltdown. All of these characters are very similar in concept, and all are interesting in their own ways. But let me know what you think of Atomic Skull down in the comments section below, maybe even which of the two is your favorite. I want to thank you all for watching this installment of Supervillain Breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, think about subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell icon to be notified of all the future content I release. If there are any villains you would like to see me talk about in the future, you can help nominate them over on Patreon.com. Becoming a producer over there helps ensure the future of this channel and its content. Any bit helps. I will see you all in the next one. Take care, stay safe, and always stay nerdy.